Hello and welcome to another Diecast Resto's custom restoration. My name is Jason and I have very specifically chosen this Majorette BMW 325i casting. There aren't too many four-door castings of the E30 BMW, aside from this 1987 to 1992 offering. I've chosen this as it will be another birthday gift to my brother. Yes, by now he can predict what he'll be getting from me on special occasions. He recently, and reluctantly, had to sell his 1991 four-door E30, which was his daily driver, and this is that exact car. So this scruffy Majorette 325i will be stripped back to bare bones to represent that red car. The rear suspension wasn't really effective on this model, and here you can see why. Absolutely horrible. For me, there's nothing worse than other people's hair. It just creeps me out. The underside of the interior is dusty and grimy, as are the rest of the innards. A mummified spider has been along for the ride too. There's plenty of potential in that grille, similar to the Matchbox Bauer E30 convertible I put together as a custom a couple of years back. I think my restoring and customising skills have come on a bit since then, I hope, so it'll be good to compare the two. Now here are the basics I'm doing, as I do for every build, before I can clean up the interior parts and strip the resilient old paint with caustic soda. The E30 was the second generation 3 Series offered by German manufacturer BMW. It was produced from 1982 to 1994. The design had subtle changes from its E21 predecessor when equipped with twin headlights. Major upgrades included the interior design and revised suspension. Unfortunately, the front's fallen off mine. Originally, the car was offered as a two-door sedan, and for the first time in the 3 Series range, as a four-door too. Carrosserie Bauer produced a folding rooftop conversion for the E30, although it continued to be produced after BMW launched their own convertible in 1985. That same year, BMW also offered new engines and updates to the exterior and trim. Now I need to reattach the front that wasn't supposed to fall off. This Gorilla Glue is more than up to the engineering standards required to make sure the front doesn't fall off again. Anyway, back to the BMW backstory. The Bavarian company launched the first M3 in 1986 as a homologation special. It was built to comply with the FIA's Group A and DTM rules for touring car racing and rallying. That was built until 1991 with almost 18,000 produced, including just shy of 900 convertible M3s. What I'm doing here is being lazy, or more to the point, saving myself a job later on. I'm using this 3M narrow tape to seal off the grille, which is to remain black. My brother's car had a typical grey and black interior, so I need to repaint that part. I'll also need to paint the front and rear bumpers so that they are colour coded. In 1987, the 3 Series had a major styling upgrade, which would see the E30 largely unchanged up to the end of production. The front bumper and rear lights were modified with a reduction in chrome trim. The first touring station wagon of the 3 Series was made available as well. In 1990, production of the E30 began to wind down, coinciding with the introduction of the third generation E36 3 Series. The final model in production was the Touring, which ran until 1994, by which time over 2.4 million E30s had been produced. To me, it looks as if this 1987 Majorette was based on the 1985 to 1987 style E30, pre-Series 2 upgrades. It's quite difficult to tell the two apart when scaled down, but the rear lights for me suggest it's a Series 1. This is because they seem to be cast over 2 rows of clusters instead of 3, but it's so minor it would be barely noticeable, especially on what will be a mostly red cluster on an already red car. Anyway, here are the wheels I've chosen to replicate the originals. What I will do though is restore the Majorette wheels back to full health. They were pretty rusty, but will be perfectly usable on another future project. As usual, they are coated in CITADEL gloss before receiving some MOLOTOW chrome paint across the raised parts. Then once this is done, I can really get into the customising segment. I wanted to add the registration plate to the tab where the rear connects the base and body. I first tried a yellow Sharpie over a white base, but this looked crap, so I spent a few quid and bought a yellow POSCA pen especially for it. Of course I had to remove the previous layer of paint before doing this, but yeah, that's looking much nicer. Onto the paint, and you guessed it, TS8 Italian Red from Tamiya. In natural light, this is a really good match to my brother's car. Under the studio lights at the end of the video, however, not so much. This is also because I've had to balance the exposure and manage the contrast for the transition between the two models, so it's ended up looking a lot darker there. The wheels look great in aluminum, or aluminium, while the bumpers have been taped off so I can paint the interior grey. Now this is something I always forget to do on my customs, the wipers and rear view mirror. It really doesn't take much effort, but it adds a lot to the transparency. It's pretty easy to do with these sections being raised and with the mirror being cut into the windscreen. And there you have it, simple but effective. Once the interior has been painted with a couple of coats of grey, I can tape that section off in order to focus on the front and rear bumpers. Note that I've still got the grille covered with that M2 tape. With the car now completely painted, I can move on to the detailing. The door handles, the sills, and the A-pillars are all coated in black Sharpie. The small rear winglet is black plastic on my brother's car, so I draw that in as well. The trim on the doors was freehand, so it looks a bit messy to start off, but I go back and tidy this up later on. The window surrounds are covered, giving the car that seamless, pillarless illusion. Now here's that plastic interior, grille and bumper piece. There's a touch of overspray from the red on the grille and on the parcel shelf. I'll clear this up with more black Sharpie on the front, but for the shelf, I've sprayed 2 squirts of the TS81 into a plastic shot glass. I'll then coat by brushing it directly onto the plastic. And here's that black Sharpie again. I'm certainly getting my money's worth from this pen. The front lip is drawn in, which makes the car look way more stock. The bumpers are next, a bit sloppy in places, but again, I'll go and clear it up off camera. My work on camera is always more shaky, bizarrely. Anyway, here's my grille getting a dose of MOLOTOW chrome, along with the 4 headlights. Nowhere does the chrome pen look better than on an E30 grille. The fog lights and turn signal base are next, with the front registration plate painted white, as is the UK law for post-1973 cars. The dashboard is filled in black now, which is indented where a tray is found on the real car. Then it's orange Sharpie over the chrome base for the turn signals. I missed a spot of black on the rear of the winglet earlier, before I put down a further layer of chrome as the base for the rear clusters. I'm in Sharpie overdrive now as I begin with the red sections of the tail lights. I'm yet to find anything that looks as good as the Sharpies over chrome for coloured light clusters. I can sense the end of the build approaching as I draw in the circular BMW badges. And then write on the registration number using this superb MICRON pen, which is amazingly only 0.2 of a millimetre at the nib. As much as I enjoy doing my typical vintage Matchbox restorations and the like, I really love customising a card to specific details from a photograph like this. The intricate details of not missing certain trim, or chrome highlights, or a badge is something I take a lot of pride in. Attempting to attain the best possible accuracy while considering the scale is a great challenge. Now I've added in the blue quadrants of the BIGMA badge, I move on to lightly coating the lines of the casting and the plastics in CITADEL Gloss NULN oil. This will help darken and age my grey interior, while giving depth to the exterior lines. None more so than the rear doors that need a little definition. After all, they are the reason I chose this casting over any other. Now compare the left to the right cluster post-CITADEL. It fills the hard to reach divots and darkens the lights much more realistically. Almost forgot the rear bumper trim, so I blast round that before putting it all back together. I did also clear coat the bodywork to protect the paint and detailing, but there's no fun in showing you that stage. So my fixed front interior is lowered in place after the window piece. Once everything is aligned, the base, with the wheels and tyres pre-fitted, slots in via the rear registration plate and is secured with a screw. So this is how the Majorette No. 229 BMW 325i E30 looked to begin with. Let's just say the exterior looks better than the interior, with some hairy and some 8-legged surprises lurking inside. Those issues caused the rear suspension to fail, while the rest of the model was fairly battered. So as a parting gift for my brother as he said goodbye to his daily 3 Series, I opted to recreate it for him for his birthday, using the only 4-door casting I could find. And here it is now, a bit darker in colour under the studio lights, but in much better shape. I've detailed every last part of the exterior that I could think of, and I've matched it to some fairly accurate 3D printed wheels from Walton Style, link below. The whole process was quite painstaking, but challenges like these inspire me and motivate me to improve my restorations and future customs. I don't think there's much I would change about this one, but if there's something I've missed or that you would have done differently, let me know in the comments. It's always good to hear different opinions. There really is too much to summarise that I've done with this casting, so if you haven't watched the entire work in progress, I implore you to do so. It's worth it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all my videos, and do leave a like and a comment. Don't forget to check out my Patreon or YouTube memberships, but that just leaves me to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.